For more on that and the other day's health headlines this morning, we're joined by Dr. Corey Hebert. Good morning to you, doctor, as always. All right, so fentanyl concerns at spring break. You've got the state health department handing out Narcan. How do you feel about that?
I think Narcan should be distributed to everyone because the issue is that it takes the amount of the weight of a grain of rice to kill someone from fentanyl. And the thing about it is people aren't just taking fentanyl because they want to take it. People are taking fentanyl because it's being disguised as other things. And once that happens, the amount of people that are overdosing on this has gone through the roof in America. So I think that it's a really good idea, and they shouldn't just have it. They should promote that they have it, because a lot of teenagers, when people have these types of overdoses, they try to not tell anybody for a while, and that becomes the real problem.
How is Narcan administered, and how successful is it to preventing an overdose?
Yes, so Narcan is injected, and it's very successful in stopping an overdose. I mean, and the thing is, when we talk about it going into the nose, it's an inhaled substance, and so when it goes in, it actually reverses all of the overdose as it stands. I mean, it's an amazing drug, and we actually have some other things that are in the pipeline right now that are going to act like Narcan as well. So that pipeline is good, but the reality is that if you are having an overdose of an opioid, it stops it immediately, and that's what we need. And that's why the fact that we had to fight for a very long time to even get it on ambulances routinely is amazing. But right now, I think that is a very, very good thing for it to be out there on the spring breakers list of things to be able to have available.
Right, and the information is out there about the risks. If you watch the news, you hear it often. We talk about it regularly, that any drug can now be laced. You can't trust that. Are we doing enough to provide that information, that education to people nationwide? Because there are still overdoses happening by the day. I mean, some of the numbers in Florida alone are staggering with accidental overdoses.
Yeah, I don't think that we could ever do enough, because the amount of overdoses, as you mentioned, it's happening not only to people that are other people consider folks that this should happen to, people that are homeless, or people that are drug addicts. All this stuff that should happen to no one, but what's happening now is that it's happening to people, their next door neighbor. And when that happens, that's what makes every needle move. And that's not fair, because if homeless people have been dying from this from a very long time, and so are people that are addicted to drugs, have been having this for a very long time, as far as things that are being put into their systems, that unbeknownst to them. But now it's hitting middle America, and that's why people are starting to talk about it a lot more. But it should be talked about on every news program, because it could happen to you. Just from someone that a professor that's just smoking some marijuana that he bought from one of his friends could be laced with fentanyl, and he would never know. And that's where the Narcan comes into play the most.
Yeah, it's happening to our neighbors. It's happening to our kids, as you and I both know, Dr. Hebert. Pfizer is going to buy this cancer drug maker, Siegen. Is that a good thing? Where does this land with you? How do you interpret it?
Well, with 1,148,993 people that have died from COVID-19, a lot of those people would not have died if they had gotten the died from COVID infection. A lot of those people would not have died if they had gotten the COVID vaccine. Pfizer made the COVID-19 vaccine and has made a lot of money. So what they're doing is bolstering their entire pipeline with every possible new medicine and new company, so that they can increase their portfolio, because they are a business. Let's be real. So Siegen has done a lot as far as development of cancer drugs. They have a drug that's kind of like like mRNA for cancer. So it kind of goes in and does a very unique way of trying to fight it. And it's one of the best things out there right now to buy. So they are going to use their arsenal to buy everything that they think is going to be the future. And so I think that'll be a good thing, because it gives Siegen the amount of capital they need to advance their research and development.
So the deal likely to go through, and it sounds like it will be really good news for people with lung cancer and also breast cancer. What is the research showing on that front, that those are the ones that we are most likely to get some new data that could be beneficial from this merger?
Yeah, correct. So the way that their cancer drug works is very specific, and like I said, it's kind of like the mRNA version of a vaccine. So it gets in and then reverses the way that the tumor is starting to grow, and that's something that's a little bit it's a little bit novel. But the way they've been able to present it, it makes it so that we know that it's going to be a really good way to increase the arsenal against breast cancer for sure. And that's what one of the bigger cancers out there that is killing up folks. So we really gotta. I'm not a big fan of giant pharma, but we have to know that they have to buy the small ones, and then they'll put the money in there, and then we'll get a lot more research and development. That's how it goes.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.